For over 60 years, Mick Jagger has commanded the stage with unmatched swagger and energy, redefining what it means to be a rock star. From the gritty roots of the Rolling Stones to their globe-spanning, stadium-filling tours, Jagger's influence reaches far beyond music charts. Yet behind the rebellious persona and electric performances lies a complex figure, one shaped by fame, excess, personal heartbreak, and extraordinary resilience. His journey is a roller coaster of iconic triumphs and hidden struggles. So, who really is Mick Jagger? Let's dive into the untold story. Jagger wasn't born a rock legend. He grew up in the quiet town of Dartford, Kent. His father, a gymnastics teacher, encouraged athletic discipline, while his mother, a hairdresser, leaned toward conservative values. But young Mick discovered his true voice elsewhere, in the church choir, on the radio, and in front of the TV, where he absorbed the sounds of blues greats. A turning point came in 1950 when he met Keith Richards in primary school. The connection was instant, though life would briefly pull them apart. In 1954, the Jagger family moved to Wilmington. Mick focused on academics, aced his 11+ exams, and earned a spot at Dartford Grammar School. Music remained a constant pull. During his teen years, he formed a garage band with friend Dick Taylor, diving deep into the raw, electric sounds of artists like Muddy Waters and Chuck Berry. Then, in 1961, fate struck again. On Platform 2 of Dartford Railway Station, Jagger and Richards reconnected. Jagger was carrying records by Chuck Berry and Muddy Waters enough to reignite their shared passion for rhythm and blues. Their musical bond was reborn. Richards and Taylor often crashed at Jagger's home, which quickly became a hub for jam sessions. Joined by Alan Etherington and Bob Beckwith, they formed a group called the Blues Boys. Although Jagger passed 7 O-levels and 2 O-levels, he left school in 1961. He and Richards moved into a flat in Chelsea with guitarist Brian Jones, forming a bohemian trio. While Jones and Richards focused on building a rhythm and blues band, Jagger, the realist, kept one foot in academia. He used a government grant to enroll at the London School of Economics, even entertaining thoughts of a future in journalism or politics. But music wouldn't wait. Brian Jones, performing under the name Elmo Lewis, began playing with Blues Incorporated, a group led by Alexis Corner. The band became a magnet for Jagger, Richards, and Jones. It wasn't long before Jagger took center stage as their charismatic lead singer, marking the true beginning of a legend in the making. While Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, and Brian Jones practiced relentlessly in their shared flat, they were unknowingly laying the foundation for what would become one of the most iconic rock bands in history, the Rolling Stones. Jagger's life and the music world was about to be turned upside down, despite their growing potential. The Stones faced serious struggles in the early years. They performed for free in a dingy basement club across from London's Ealing Broadway tube station, scraping by with borrowed gear and bare-bones equipment. But the spark was there. On July 12, 1962, they made their debut at the Marquee Club, then a well-known jazz venue, under the name The Rolling Stones. Soon after, they formalized the name we know today, the Rolling Stones. The band's early lineup shifted frequently. Jagger, Richards, and Jones were joined by pianist Ian Stewart, bassist Dick Taylor, and drummers Tony Chapman, and later briefly Mick Avery. By 1963, they had secured a residency at the Eel Pie Island Hotel, an infamous venue that, according to the BBC, played a pivotal role in launching their success. That same year, Jagger made a life-changing decision. He left the London School of Economics to pursue music full-time. The band's early material consisted mostly of covers American rhythm and blues classics by Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley, and others. Their first 2 UK No. 1 hits were covers, but winds of change were blowing. Jagger and Richards began writing original material, and the band's rebellious image started to take center stage. By the late 1960s, their anti-establishment attitude had made them cultural lightning rods. In 1967, a notorious turning point arrived. Jagger and his then-girlfriend, singer Marianne Faithfull, were caught in the middle of a heavily publicized drug raid at Keith Richards' country estate. Police discovered illegal substances, and both Jagger and Richards were charged and convicted. The sentences were later overturned on appeal, but the legal troubles didn't stop there. Just 2 years later, Jagger was arrested again for drug possession after police searched his London home. Yet perhaps the most heartbreaking challenge came from within the band. In June 1969, founding member Brian Jones left the Stones. His erratic behavior, fueled by heavy drug use and ongoing legal issues, had made it impossible for him to get a visa for their upcoming U.S. tour. Less than a month later, tragedy struck. Jones was found dead in his swimming pool. The cause was ruled death by misadventure. A lethal mix of drugs and alcohol. Devastated but determined to honor their friend, the Stones held a massive tribute concert just 2 days later in London's Hyde Park. What was meant to be the grand debut of their new guitarist, Mick Jagger, became a memorial instead. Jagger read excerpts from Adonais, a poem by Percy Bysshe Shelley. As hundreds of white butterflies were released into the sky, a symbolic farewell to their fallen bandmate, they closed the emotional set with one of Jones's favorite songs. But 1969's darkness wasn't over. The Stones had planned a free concert at Altamont Speedway in California, hoping to create a West Coast answer to Woodstock, a celebration of peace, love, and music. Instead, the event spiraled into chaos. From the moment the band arrived, the atmosphere was grim. Jagger was punched in the face shortly after stepping out of his helicopter. The Hells Angels, inexplicably hired as security, were a menacing presence rather than peacekeepers. Their violent tactics inflamed tensions in the crowd. As other bands played, the mood deteriorated. The Angels' aggression escalated from hostility to horror by the time the Rolling Stones finally took the stage. As the Rolling Stones began their set at Altamont Speedway, the crowd was already fraying at the edges. Tension crackled in the air. The Hells Angels, hired as security, were no longer just a threat. They were dispensing brutal beatings indiscriminately. Jagger, clearly sensing the rising danger, appeared visibly subdued. All eyes were on him to calm the chaos with his magnetic stage presence, but this time wasn't enough then. During their performance of Under My Thumb, tragedy struck. Meredith Hunter, a young audience member, drew a gun. In a shocking, harrowing moment witnessed by the band and caught on film in the documentary Gimme Shelter, a Hells Angel stabbed him to death. The aftermath was devastating. 4 people died at Altamont that day, including Hunter. What was intended as a celebration of music became a cultural funeral. The tragedy marked the symbolic end of the 1960s counterculture dream. Reflecting on the violence later, a shaken Jagger remarked, "It was terrible. If Jesus had been there, he would have been crucified." The Stones emerged from Altamont changed, haunted, cautious, and surrounded by darkness. Jagger, deeply disturbed by the events and his association with the Hells Angels, severed all ties with the motorcycle gang. But his decision had chilling consequences. In a shocking twist, a splinter group of enraged Hells Angels began plotting revenge. Their target, Mick Jagger, their plan was bold and brazen: approach Jagger's Long Island holiday home from the sea, bypassing security by landing on the unguarded beachfront. Their mission was assassination. But fate had other plans. As they set out by boat, a violent storm struck. The vessel was tossed by the waves, and the would-be assassins were thrown overboard. Though they survived, the storm ended their murderous mission. Jagger, completely unaware, had narrowly escaped death. The plot remained hidden for decades until 2008, when a former FBI agent revealed it during a British television interview. The story made international headlines. One can only imagine Jagger's reaction upon learning years later how close he had come to being assassinated despite personal turmoil, legal chaos, and inner band conflict. The Rolling Stones roared into the 1970s with renewed energy. Sticky Fingers and the critically acclaimed Exile on Main Street became instant classics, further cementing their legacy. Even the departure of guitarist Mick Jagger in 1975 replaced by the versatile Ronnie. Wood couldn't derail their momentum, but behind the scenes, fractures were forming. Jagger's growing ambition to launch a solo career created a widening rift with Keith Richards, who was sinking deeper into addiction. Acker began taking creative control of the band, intensifying the strain. Their once legendary partnership began to unravel, culminating in a bitter public feud during the mid-1980s. For a time, it seemed like the Rolling Stones might finally implode. But in 1988, they shocked the world by reuniting, stronger, more focused, and ready for a new chapter. Their comeback was undeniable. In 1989, they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, a formal recognition of their legendary impact. That same year, they released Steel Wheels, one of their most commercially successful albums, shoring in a powerful new era for the band. Following the success of Steel Wheels, the Rolling Stones launched a massive world tour, captivating new generation of fans. Their music continued to resonate globally, and accolades poured in. When bassist Bill Wyman retired in 1992, many feared it might disrupt the band's rhythm, but Darryl Jones stepped in seamlessly, maintaining the Stones' signature groove. The 1994 album, Voodoo Lounge, marked a commercial and critical high point, earning the band their first Grammy for Best Rock Album. The music video for Love Is Strong also won a Grammy, proving the band's ability to innovate decades into their career. The 2000s brought more milestones. Bridges to Babylon and A Bigger Bang were well received, though they didn't quite match the heights of their early classics. In 2006, Stones made Super Bowl history with a performance that perfectly captured their rebellious spirit. Despite pre-planned censorship, Jagger pushed boundaries with his electrifying stage presence. One of the band's most iconic moments came in 2016 when they performed in Havana, Cuba, to an audience of 500,000. This historic concert took place in a country where their music had once been banned, and it followed President Obama's visit, highlighting the Stones' immense cultural impact worldwide. That same year, they released Blue and Lonesome, a blues-inspired album that paid homage to their roots and earned them another Grammy. Even when Jagger's 2019 heart surgery forced a tour postponement, it was clear the Rolling Stones had no intention of slowing down. Their unmatched energy and enduring legacy promised they would keep captivating audiences for years to come. Jagger's solo ventures and artistic pursuits, while Jagger's relentless energy fueled the Stones, it also propelled his solo career. In the mid-1980s, he ventured out with his debut solo album She's the Boss, which achieved platinum status. However, his follow-up album, Primitive Cool, didn't connect as strongly with audiences. Undeterred, Jagger released Wandering Spirit in 1993, featuring a collaboration with Lenny Kravitz and showcasing his versatility despite mixed reviews. Jagger's biggest solo spotlight came in 1985 with his duet alongside David Bowie, Dancing in the Street. The single topped the UK charts and reached the US top 10, solidifying Jagger's presence beyond the Stones. His talents extended beyond music. During the band's peak years, Jagger dabbled in acting, starring in films like Ned Kelly and Performance. Though these early roles didn't make a lasting mark on cinema, he later returned as a producer, contributing to acclaimed projects such as The Women and Get On Up. The James Brown biopic, a surprising honor. Knighthood and royal feuds, perhaps. One of the most surprising chapters in Jagger's life was his acceptance of a knighthood in 2003. The former anti-establishment rebel, once arrested for drug offenses, is now Sir Michael Jagger, honored by Prince Charles. But behind this prestigious accolade lay a royal feud. Queen Elizabeth II reportedly disapproved of Jagger's knighthood, finding him most unsuitable. Her objections stemmed from his perceived irreverence toward the monarchy and his close ties to her sister, Princess Margaret. Multiple attempts by Prime Minister Tony Blair to include Jagger on the honors list were blocked by the Queen. Jagger's outspoken support for anarchy and his notorious quip, dubbing Queen Elizabeth the Chief, which certainly didn't help his case. In a twist of fate or royal convenience, The knighthood was bestowed by Prince Charles. On a day when the Queen was undergoing knee surgery, rumor has it, she remarked she'd rather be in the hospital than honoring a certain party at Buckingham Palace. Despite her disapproval, the monarchy had to accept that Sir Mick Jagger was an indomitable force, whether they liked it or not. A complex personal life, relationships, family, and rivalries contrary to the carefree rockstar image. Jagger's personal life has been complex and marked by significant relationships and a large family. Married once, he fathered 8 children with 5 different women, along with grandchildren and great-grandchildren. His first serious relationship was with Cleo Sylvester, followed by a romance with model Chrissy Shrimpton in the early 1960s. Then came his tumultuous and influential relationship with singer Marianne Faithfull, a key figure in London's music scene. Their bond was marked by deep musical collaboration, including the iconic Sister Morphine, but also marred by drug addiction and infidelity. Faithfull later revealed her insecurities and struggles with intimacy, confessing she often relied on substances to cope. Their relationship ended amid betrayals. Faithfull had an affair with Keith Richards, who himself was nursing wounds from Jagger's affair with his girlfriend, Anita Pallenberg. This bitter triangle intensified the rivalry between Jagger and Richards. Tragedy struck in 1968 when Faithfull lost their unborn child, a devastating blow that ultimately ended their relationship. Years later, Faithfull's candid revelations painted a stark picture of Jagger's reputation. In 1969, Jagger began a brief but consequential relationship with Marcia Hunt, Ash, which resulted in the birth of his first child, Karis Hunt. It's widely believed Karis inspired the iconic Brown Sugar. Jagger married Bianca Perez, Maura Macias, and Ijo Tiyi. It's the same year their daughter Jade was born. The marriage lasted until 1978. During this time, Jagger had an affair with model Bibi Buell and even believed he might be the father of her daughter, actress Liv Tyler. Starting in 1977, Jagger's long-term relationship with model Jerry Hall brought stability and 4 children, Elizabeth, James, Georgia May, and Gabriel. They held a private marriage ceremony in 1990, but Jagger's continued infidelities, including an affair with Carla Bruni, led to their eventual split. Her marriage was later declared legally invalid. In 2001, Jagger began a relationship with Lauren Stewart, which brought a new chapter to his personal life. After years of tumult and triumph, Mick Jagger found stability and support in acclaimed fashion designer Lauren Scott, who was his partner for over a decade. Their relationship was marked by love and companionship, providing Jagger with a rare sense of calm amid the chaos of rock and roll life. Tragically, in 2014, Scott took her own life, a devastating loss that left Jagger shattered and struggling. To comprehend the sudden void, in response to this profound grief, Jagger honored Scott's memory by establishing a scholarship in her name at London's prestigious Central St. Martin's College of Art and Design. This scholarship enables aspiring designers to pursue their dreams, ensuring that Lauren Scott is remembered not just as the partner of a rock icon, but as a gifted artist in her own right. Through this act, Jagger transformed tragedy into a lasting legacy of creativity and hope, a father's influence, and a final goodbye in 2006. Jagger faced another personal blow with the passing of his father, Joe Jagger. Though their worlds seemed worlds apart, Joe had been a foundational influence in Mick's life. He nurtured his son's musical interests from the start, even funding his first band, and instilled a tireless work ethic that fueled Jagger's dynamic stage presence. Joe's impact was evident not just behind the scenes but in the public eye. The two even appeared together on a BBC program about sports, a testament to their strong bond. The news of Joe's death arrived just hours before a Rolling Stones concert in Las Vegas, testing Jagger's resolve. In a remarkable show of professionalism and dedication, Jagger chose to carry on with the performance knowing that his father would have wanted him to. His usually reserved demeanor gave way to uncharacteristic talkativeness, revealing a man deeply moved but committed to his craft. Speaking out on stage, politics meets rock, enrolled the Rolling Stones' recent performance at the iconic New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival was more than just a musical celebration. It became a stage for political commentary, frontman Mick Jagger didn't hold back, taking a pointed jab at Louisiana's newly elected governor Jeff Landry. "Isn't this a welcoming crowd?" Jagger asked the roaring audience. "I hope Mr. Landry enjoys the show, you know. He's all about inclusivity." "Trying to drag us back to the Stone Age," Landry responded with humor on Twitter, quoting the classic Stones hit, "You can't always get what you want," playfully suggesting Jagger might be the only one old enough to remember the Stone Age, while extending a warm welcome to the rock legend. This spirited exchange underscored Jagger's enduring willingness to use his platform for his views of Anne amid the revelry of a festival. Still, rockin' at 80, the Rolling Stones tour 24. Despite the decades and the challenges, the Rolling Stones remain a powerhouse. In 2024, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, and Ronnie would hit the road once again for the Stones Tour 24. At 80 years old, Jagger continues to captivate audiences with his electrifying presence, proof of his unmatched stamina and passion for performing. A recent Instagram video shows Jagger rocking out on guitar, reminding the world that age has not dimmed his fire. The tour kicks off in Houston, promising unforgettable shows across North America and reaffirming the band's place as rock and roll legends who refuse to slow down.